We are going to finally fix this healthcare system. So if you've got health insurance, we're going to lower your premiums. If you don't have health insurance, you're going to be able to buy the same kind of health care that members of Congress give themselves. We're going to negotiate with drug companies for the cheapest available price on drugs, and we are going to go after those insurance companies so they pay the claims that you've been paying for in your premiums every single day. And we're not going to wait 20 years from now to do it, or 10 years. We're going to do it by the end of my first term as President of the United States of America. We are going to make sure every child gets a world-class education. Joe Biden and I, we weren't born into fame. We weren't born into fortune. The only reason we're standing here is because we got an education. Same is true of our wives, Jill and Michelle. Every child deserves that opportunity. And that's why we're going to invest in early childhood education. And we are going to pay our teachers higher salaries and give them more support. And that's why we are going to make a bargain with the young people of America. If you are willing to participate in community service or national service, if you join our military or you join the Peace Corps, or you work in an underserved hospital or an underserved school, we will pay your tuition for 4 years of public college, public university. We'll invest in you, you invest in America. Together we're going to march this country forward. Joe Biden and I believe in protecting Social Security because we don't want to gamble on your retirement. We believe in protecting your pensions because if a company makes a bargain with its workers, that promise should be kept. Joe Biden and I believe that we should allow workers to organize. And we are going to start having a department that's not just the Department of Management, but actually believes in labor. We also want an administration that believes in science and technology. That's going to make investments in the basic research that will lead to the breakthroughs of the 21st century. And one of the biggest places where we are going to do it is on energy. John McCain says the problem is Washington hasn't done anything in 30 years. What he doesn't say is he's been there 26. And he said no to higher fuel efficiency standards on cars. He said no to making sure that we are investing in renewable fuels. He has been Dr. No when it comes to energy. And Joe Biden and I understand that unless we solve this energy problem, we are mortgaging our children's futures. We are borrowing from China to send to Saudi Arabia, and that doesn't make any sense. And so we're gonna make more fuel-efficient cars, and we're gonna make them right here in the U.S. of A. And we're gonna invest $15 billion in solar and wind and biodiesel, reopening factories all across the Midwest, all across the heartland, putting people back to work, making wind turbines and solar panels and biofuels. That's the future we can have, but you got to have the courage to change. That's why Joe Biden and I are running for President and Vice President of the United States. And we've got to have the courage to change our foreign policy. I will end this war in Iraq. Joe Biden and I will make sure that we are as careful getting out as we were careless getting in. And we will make sure that we are finally focusing on the central front of terrorism in Afghanistan and the hills between Afghanistan and Pakistan. You heard me say it on Thursday night. John McCain likes to say that he'll chase Osama bin Laden to the gates of hell. We don't need to do all that. All we need to just do is go where the caves where he's living. That's what we've got to do. And in the process, we have to restore that understanding that although we should never hesitate to strike, and we will maintain the strongest military on earth, whenever we are threatened, we have to be able to have the capacity to strike against our enemies. What is just as important is making sure that we've got diplomatic credibility all around the world. And Joe Biden understands this, and I understand it, and we are going to talk not just to our friends, but to our enemies, and we are going to regain respect of America around the world to deal with terrorism and nuclear proliferation and genocide and climate change and poverty and disease, because that's part of the promise America makes to the world, that we are that bright and shining light for all those who seek freedom and all those who want lives of peace. Now, let me just close by saying this. It will not be easy. You know, we had a good week and everybody's feeling good. I just wanted to remind people there were mostly Democrats in that stadium. We still got some work to do, Joe. We've still got to persuade people that change is possible because we've gotten so cynical. I mean, you know the strategy of the Republicans in this race. But what they're going to do is they're going to try to scare you. They're going to say, well, you know, Obama's got a funny name. And, well, he hasn't been in Washington long enough. He doesn't have the conventional resume. You know, that's the strategy that they try every 4 years. Because, as I said, if you don't have ideas to run on, then you run on those old tactics. But I don't think it's going to work this time. I don't think it's going to work this time because all across America, not just Democrats, but Republicans and independents, they recognize that, you know, the one thing we can't do is to give up on that basic idea that America keeps getting better. I think Republicans, Democrats, and independents, they don't want to just take a 10% chance on change that John McCain's offering, because he agrees with George Bush 90% of the time. I think they recognize that the biggest risk we can take right now is to do the same old things with the same old folks and expect different results. I think the American people, they want to fight for a better future. This election's not about me and it's not about Joe Biden, it's about you. It's about whether you can find a job that pays a living wage. It's about whether you can buy a home in a decent neighborhood. It's about whether you can send your kids to college, whether you can give them health care, whether you can retire with dignity and respect, whether we can bring this country together instead of tearing it apart. It's about you. And I believe that if you will stand up with me, if you will knock on doors with me and make phone calls with me, if you'll talk to your neighbors and your friends with me, if you'll believe with me, then I promise you this, we will not just win Ohio, we will win this general election, and you and I and Joe Biden, we will change this country and change the world. Thank you. God bless you. And God bless America.
All right, so we now